Some days ago, I randomly decided. Welcome to the bonus round of my AOTP color tier list. This one is going to be reviewing Colorless. So, the theme of Colorless in MTG is artificial, unknowable, and undeveloped. This is brought into AOTP by virtue of the rather freakish Eldrazi creatures. Before we review the creatures in Colorless, I'm going to review the general strengths and weaknesses of... who am I kidding? Let's just talk about the Eldrazi creatures right now. Starting with the weakest colorless creatures, in my opinion, the Eldrazi Scions. 55 pointers from Battle for Zendikar. So even when considering the uselessness of their abilities, if you haven't conscripted the Ruiner into your army, the Scions are still a speedy move 7 squad with stats that are decent for the low price of 55 points. And I think they are a pretty good vanilla squad. When you compare them to squads like the Bloodline Nobles, Skurzdag Cultists, Blazing Firecats, or even a single 50-point Path Warden figure, the Scions really are a decent bargain. 2 life and 3 toughness is not the kind of stamina where a Scion would consistently live to see the other side of more than maybe 1 or 2 attacks, but that's fine. In any army without the Ruiner, they are probably best used as meat shields or glyph grabbers anyway. When they are used with the Ruiner, you can consider 2 lines of thought. Should you use red or white's great enchantments on the Scions and use the Ruiner to replenish their ranks via Shepherd of Scions, so you can slowly snowball their power and toughness to somewhere around 5 or even 7? Or do you summon the Scions into the corner of the map and send the Ruiner into fight, and feed Scions into the Ruiner across the map via their Devour for speed and strength to temporarily increase his move and or power? I'd argue that blue, green, and white probably do this strat the best, and you'll find out about this when I talk about the Ruiner later in the video. As a final thought for the Scions, I really like them in squad spam 600 point armies which use lots of low cost figures in an attempt to beat the opponent by throwing so many figures and low number attacks at them. In my opinion, Nahiri does this build the best, especially because she can spread excellent red and white enchantments between all of her squads, sometimes making the enemy feel like they are staring down a quadruple barrel shotgun. Altogether, the Scions are very decent for 55, and they're just a good filler if you have nothing else to squeeze in with the points. And next up is the only other colorless creature in AOTP, the centerpiece of Battle for Zendikar, the Eldrazi Ruiner at 150 points. The Ruiner is the universal hero available to every Planeswalker. I tend to think of him as a slower but bulkier version of White's Evasian. Planeswalkers like Jace and Nissa can shoot him with little fear of retaliation from him, but otherwise the Ruiner is pretty fear-inducing. I'd hazard a guess that he is statistically likely to beat almost any single AOTP figure in a straight 1v1 fight with no spells. Just like White's Evasian, the Ruiner wants to be activated often in order to deal his automatic damage via Lash of Tentacles, where he gets guaranteed value as long as he starts his turn next to an enemy creature. He certainly brings pain and intimidation to the table, a standout huge figure where AOTP completely lacks in that category otherwise. It is nearly impossible to hide him from the sight of enemy figures, although Otherworldly gives him a respectable boost in toughness when ranged creatures attack him. Side note, he does not get this bonus when a non-adjacent Planeswalker attacks him. His massive size can also be a boon for you because of how easy it is to establish line of sight to him when summoning him or targeting him with one of your own clear sight spells. As a double space figure, he can be summoned to engage a figure that is up to 7 spaces away from your Planeswalker, where a single space figure would only be able to engage a figure up to 6 spaces away from your Planeswalker. But the Ruiner can also be denied position, engagement, and or high ground by an opponent that positions themselves carefully, because the Ruiner needs to be on 2 same level spaces in order to end his move and launch his attack. Let's talk about his general usage with some of the colors in AOTP. I think the Ruiner gets the most value in blue or white builds. These are 2 colors that appreciate and support the bulky hero offense he brings. Green is a distant 3rd pick due to things like Earthen Arms, Titanic Growth, and Rabid Bite, while red and black, in my opinion, almost strictly prefer to use their squads and squad buffs. They don't really have a good way to incorporate the Ruiner into their game plan in a strongly synergistic way. So, let's explore blue and white with the Ruiner. Blue's Essence Flux and Ghostly Wings are both excellent. They give the Ruiner mobility he sorely needs. You can cast Essence Flux before Action 2 to teleport the Ruiner and place him adjacent to a bunch of enemy creatures. Then, when you select the Ruiner to activate him in your Action 2, his Lash of Tentacles will deal damage to creatures adjacent to him at that new location. Also, Royal Mage's Trick is a great buff for the Ruiner and is pretty easily applied on any turn that you play Essence Flux or Ghostly Wings, so that you can launch a ton of attack dice at whoever you feel like killing. White has tons of buffs and healing for heroes. Things like Chaplain's Blessing, Survive the Night, Angel's Mercy, Tenacity, and more, which generally allow the Ruiner to completely overpower anything that walks into his threat range. Keep in mind that you can use white or blue dual color Planeswalkers and combine some of the other colors cards for just a little bit of extra help. Sorin has access to all of those white spells, as well as a couple of somewhat useful black spells like Corpse Lunge and Harrowing Journey, both of which can make the Ruiner a menace. Nahiri is in a similar boat, having access to white, but also being capable of bringing some decent red spells like Rush of Adrenaline, which can be used before Action 2 just like Essence Flux to reposition the Ruiner, and also red Senseless Rage, which is excellent in ensuring that the Ruiner rolls for big hits whenever you send him in. Kiora has access to blue spells, but can also bring the big green guns like Earthen Arms, Titanic Growth, and Rabid Bite to use on the Ruiner in tandem with blue's Essence Flux, Ghostly Wings, and or Royal Mage's Trick to deal even more damage to a single target than blue could do by itself. At the end of the day, I think the Ruiner is one of the better heroes in the game, definitely above average, but his low mobility keeps him from competing with Evasian, who I think is the best hero in the game. There you have it, the end of the Colorless Eldrazi bonus round. Have you been enjoying this AOTP content? Please enchant the like and subscribe buttons with your cursor. I'm often streaming and creating AOTP content, and I am looking forward to the potential rerun of Heroescape as well. Thank you for watching the video. Please check out my other AOTP color tier lists, or even my other AOTP battle videos or Heroescape battle videos if you haven't already. We'll see you in the next one.